Okay, so the disturbing video game boss fight that I want to forget came in Arkham Knight, and it's Professor Pig. Professor Pig, if you don't know, is a relatively recent-ish character. He was created at the beginning of the 2010s, or just before, during Grant Morrison's run on Batman, and a very terrifying character. He kind of had a short appearance, and then in the Batman and Robin Reborn series, he was like just awful. His whole thing is that he like just mutilates people. He mutilates bodies. It's really gross. It's really nasty. All in the name of making them perfect. And when Arkham Knight kind of came out, it had a serial killer mission where you were like finding all these different bodies tied up with opera music playing. And, you know, people were thinking, oh, is it Zaz again maybe, or is it still Hush? Before they had that weird Hush side mission where he just turns up to Wayne Towers and kidnaps Lucius Fox. It was very weird. But yeah, there was all sorts of different, theories about which kind of serial killing villain it could be. And then it turned out to be Pig, which I hated because Pig terrifies me. He makes all those pig noises because he's Professor Pig. And he has that whole thing where he puts those masks onto people's faces and it melts their faces, and it's really grim. And then after that, you go in, basically once you found all the bodies and you figured out what's going on, what links them all together, you go in and then you find his parlor, and it's already very creepy. You got the weird eerie opera music playing. I'm like, I don't like that one bit. And then as you're just kind of, going through, you just see that there's all sorts of different people with your detective vision on. You see them all around at the top, and you realize, oh no, those are his Dollartrons, the people he's mutilated and mind controlled to the point where they're literally just screaming in pain on the inside, I imagine. And then you go in, and his voice acting is just, oh my god, it's literally the thing about this is that they realize the character so well. And he's just terrifying. I hate him. He's there kind of cutting up a body on this, this table, this medical table. And you have a generic kind of Arkham-style boss fight where it's just the free-flow combat with a few interactive elements thrown in because it's Arkham and boss fights aren't really its forte. But still, it's really creepy and I hate him. I hate Pig. I hate everything about him. The mask, the outfit, the voice, the pig noises. I'm not a fan. So I wish I could kind of bleach that from my memory because not a fan of Pig. Really creepy. Nah. No more Pig. Goodbye.
Okay, so one of my scariest ever video gaming experiences was playing through Resident Evil 7 in the PlayStation VR. That thing was absolutely terrifying, partly because of how good its bosses were. You had a bunch of different family members, each bringing their own brand of scares and horror and dread, and by far the worst one was Marguerite, who was the matriarch of the family and transformed into this big, weird, long-limbed, kind of spider-style thing. She was awful. The setup for this entire encounter is so well done in the game because you don't see her for a long time, but you just kind of see flashes of her, and she gives you one of the biggest jump scares ever before you actually fight her head on. And you're fighting through these kind of insects, and you're in this outhouse, and you are building up to the moment where you actually have to confront her. And when you do, she's transformed into this, like I said, this thing with long arms that can kind of scurry around the walls and crawl away from you and just essentially torment you from every single angle. And there is something about the long arms, I'm not gonna lie to you, that absolutely just freaks me out. There's something about that kind of, I don't know, alien style where it's kind of human, but also it's really, really not human. And the way that her voice kind of haunts you as well. She's got this genuinely unnerving kind of, I don't know, effect on her voice and the way she kind of shrieks. And it reminds me of The Exorcist when Merrin comes to finally do the exorcism, and you hear Reagan shouting from her room. It has that kind of just immediate unnaturalness that gets under my skin. But obviously, and if you've seen any of the footage right now, you'll know that the scariest thing about her is her vagina. Her vagina is kind of like this nappy of webs, and it shoots insects out of it. We talk a lot on this channel, or at least I suppose I do, about knob terror, but we never touch on the vag fright. And this, for me, is the ultimate example of it, you know what I mean? So she's already scary, but the fact that she has the scariest vagina I have ever seen just takes it to next level, and it's why I will never forget her, because that thing is just, it's just gross, it's just grim fandango, and I don't want to really see it again, but especially when you had to see it up close and personal while playing in VR. Nightmares scorched into the back of these retinas forever. Horrible. She needs to get that checked out.
For disturbing bosses, I'm going to go with something that I don't think anyone else will go with because it's not from a horror game, but it is from something that absolutely terrified me as a kid. It's the original Metal Gear Solid, obviously not the entire game, but I don't know if it was just me. You can obviously let me know down in the comments, but there were parts of that game that I thought were absolutely horrifying. I don't know if it was because it was the first time going through something that was so well realized, the dawn of 3D, you had all these different voice actors, you had all these crazy supernatural elements like the cyborg ninja and, Vulcan Raven and whatever, and there are other scenes in that game like Raven being eaten by the crows that's a bit more gory, or something like when Otacon reveals that there are 4 invisible men in the elevator with you, that's a bit more jump scary. But I'm gonna go with the cyborg ninja reveal, the one when you're walking towards the corridor to fight him. I thought that was just so disturbing and twisted, and as soon as Snake walks into that corridor and sees this just bodies strewn everywhere, and he says like, they must have been cut by some type of blade. And it's just like, I absolutely love that scene. But it transfers into the boss battle as well. It's not that every part of it is scary necessarily, but the whole feeling around fighting the cyborg ninja, Great Fox, is just so scary and disturbing and macabre, because, even when you beat him, he's just bashing his head off the floor and he's like screaming about the medicine. And there's all these things that contribute to the mystique of that character, and they're so well done in the original game. So for me as a kid, I'm only talking about me being 8 years old at this point, I just thought that whole thing was just creepy and disturbing. All those weird whispers that you hear the whole time through, this sort of like whatever the hell that was, alongside all the the mutilation and the bodies and whatever. There's just so many elements to that whole scene, and a lot of the fight itself, especially when he goes invisible towards the end, that just creeped me the hell out as a small child. So yeah, I still think it's incredibly effective horror to this day. And obviously with, you look at Hideo Kojima, translating that stuff into PT and the more scarier side of Death Stranding, and you can trace those horror roots all the way back to the original Metal Gear Solid. Grey Fox, just a weird old dude, some type of blade.
So the most disturbing video game boss for me has to be Laura from The Evil Within, which I think she died in a fire or something, and that's why every now and then you see these embers and she kind of crawls out of the ground like Silent Hill style. So straight away she kind of has that just eeriness about her, like the Silent Hill kind of vibe that you get from Laura is uncanny, but also the fact that she is a cross between some sort of Silent Hill spider monster and Samara from The Ring. It's just taking the scariest things from video games and just let's just meld them into one. That's a good idea. She's just terrifying. She comes out of the ground and she's got these elongated arms and legs, and then a spare just set of arms on her back, because why not? That's just up the terror even more. She's got the big long black hair in front of her face, and she does look very sort of that typical sort of Asian, so it's not remake Samara, it's proper Japanese looking Samara. It's so long and it kind of swishes back and forth, which is just equally unnerving. And when you first see her, you're kind of got to run down this long corridor and she's just kind of shambling after you with these big long arms, and it's just terrifying. And then for some reason she can kind of teleport every now and then. She just kind of bloop bloop, and it's just, it's horrible. The whole of The Evil Within just had me really on edge. It's such a tension inducing game to play anyway, and then to just put this spider monkey Samara thing in is just, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like how she moved. I didn't like the fact that you kind of have to shoot and run, and it's you don't know what to do. You can't pick as to what the best option is, and it just makes me panic, and I just don't like her. And whenever I have to come upstairs at night and everything is dark downstairs, I imagine her running up after me, because I wouldn't put it past her, okay? I wouldn't put it past her crawling out of my TV and into my staircase. Just don't like her. I just don't like it. It's just, yeah.